Hi, good evening. My name is Sylvie Fauzia with the last three digit of my student number is 313. Today I am going to present my PowerPoint presentation with the title Forced Labor. Forced labor. Forced labor is when you are forced to do work that you have not agreed to under the threat of punishment. There are some kind of punishment by giving the debt, bondage, or unable to sleep, or they don't give you the food. Those are the kind of punishment. The factors of this forced labor, the factors of forced labor. Forced labor can happen because of the poverty in a country or the lack of decent employment opportunities, followed by the discrimination, lack of labor in the agriculture sectors, economy dependent on the cheap labor, lack of sustainable jobs and education. with the last factor, which is weak rule of law. Poverty in the country could affect this forced labor because they are being in a in an uncontrollable situation. They have to do it to find food. They have to do it to find money to feed their family members, to buy the rice. The lack of decent employment opportunities happen in a country with high number of graduates, yet they don't know where to apply for the job, a decent one, a sustainable one. The third one is discrimination. Discrimination could happen in the workplace by discriminating the gender, religious, type of skin, the race. Those things make a person quit their job or they can't get the job itself, the career itself, because they are black, for example, or because they are Muslim and they have to wear the veil, but the job wouldn't allow it. The fourth one is the lack of labor in the agriculture sectors, which those sectors such as farming, industries, or soiling, they needed a lot of manpower to get the target done. The fifth is economy dependent on cheap labor because they do not have a lot of worker and they ask or demand for a high salary. With this, they would find the forced labor because those forced labor or the workers, the victims, would get a lower salary. They will give a lower salary to them. The sixth is the lack of sustainable jobs and education. In some country, the poor country, they have a lack of education because they live in a rural area or they live in a countryside where there are no schools, no teacher, or they are they lack of the facilities. They got other problems beside that, poverty, for example. The seventh or the last factor is the weak rule of law. There are some rules invented by the government or by the by the organizations, international one or national one, but they dare to break because the law itself doesn't apply much. I mean, they are not scared of the law because the fine are very cheap. These are some pictures about over a million people were estimated to be forced to pick cotton in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan by their own governments every year. As you can see, those forced labor workers would include elders, women, children, or the elders itself. I mean, the children's women are being used more in this forced labor than the boys. The forced labor in the Malaysian medical glove supply chain during the COVID-19 pandemic. These are some illustrations that the migrants from in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Myanmar, Vietnam, those migrants are being used to fulfill the demand of the gloves. This Lahmera, a Mauritanian domestic worker in Saudi Arabia, said that the worst part was that there was no rest. I slept for 2 hours a night. There was no going out and no days off. When the bosses were out, the house was locked. I soon learned that if we refused to work, the police would be brought in to make us work. Once I was slapped around the face for not ironing my employer's scarf properly. Where can we find about this forced labor? These forced labors are being used in a construction, mining, fishing, forestry, agriculture industry, and hospitality industry. Last but not least, they would use this forced labor to beg along the road at the traffic lights. They are forced to beg the walkers, the pedestrians, the drivers. The coercion chain of the forced labor started with the force of force the acceptance of the job. The employer would force the migrants to accept the job because they have got no choice other than to accept it. Continued by deceiving the worker into an exploitative job by giving low salary with long time of work and no freedom. They can't go out, and this would create the debt bondage because the fees that they use to migrate to other country is not cheap, and they put a high price to them so that they will work for the employer for a long time. They can't even pay the debt. That is the trick. These caste status and debts are transmitted to the subsequent generations because the debts are too big. The suggestions for this forced labor is that to report anything suspicious or the characteristics of the forced labor. So by this we have to educate ourselves to get to know about forced labor. We can spot the signs anyway, and we can report it to the authorities. There is an app for this forced labor which is Working for Workers, WFWX. The third one is to increase the employment opportunities in a country. The fourth one is reduce foreign workers so that then the citizens itself, the local citizen, can get a decent job. The fourth one is The fifth one is combat discrimination in the workplace by generalizing everyone there without seeing their appearance, without looking for their appearance. Because there's a saying that don't judge a book by its cover. They don't define the skill, the value, the intelligence of a worker. The last one is to provide guidance and venture capital. A guidance from the government is needed for the citizens, such as having seminars, workshops, so that the citizens would have an idea how to start a business and they can be an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur by giving the venture capital in the early of the business to start up the business. This is all from me. Do you have any question? If you have any question, please list it down in the comment section, or you can contact me via these informations, my IG and my email and my number 2. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. My name is Sylvie Fauzia with the last 3 digits of my student number 313. Thank you so much.